You keep telling yourself you're too busy to work out, well that ends today. You know the drill, you finally decide to look in, you're consistent in the gym, Monday, Tuesday, midweek hits, and then suddenly you're resetting it Monday again. And before you know it, you're starting Monday 1st of December instead of Monday 8th of March. If that sounds just a tiny bit too relatable, girl, I get it. But it is time for you to stop neglecting your health, and in this video I'm going to give you a plan to help you do that. And the best part is you don't need to be in the gym every single day of the week. You only need 3 days. You cannot convince me that you do not have 3 hours a week to dedicate to your health. And if you really don't, then I think you've got some bigger issues to deal with. So we're doing a lower body day, upper body day, and then a full body workout, and I'm going to be walking you through all of the exercises in each of the individual workouts so that you know exactly what you're doing. You can walk in the gym and just hit those workouts hard. Because if you're not going in the gym with a plan, then it's no wonder that you're pushing it off, because you don't actually know what you're going in there to do. You're not having a focus for that session, and it's going to make everything take so much longer. I'm going to give you some more specific tips and guidance on how to approach your fitness journey when you're super busy at the end of the video. But before we go train, we've always got to make sure that we're fueling our bodies properly, so let's go make some food. For our pre-workout, we are making a super quick and easy Weetabix cheesecake. You can meal prep this the night before to make things easier, but it literally takes like 2 minutes to make, so let's make it. ASMR. You're going to add your crumbled Weetabix to a dish. Pour in just enough milk to make the base layer stick together. I recommend adding it slowly. Then you just want to press it down with the back of a spoon. And you should end up with something like this. I popped that in the fridge just briefly, but now we're going to make our topping. We're adding 200 grams of natural yogurt. And then we're going in with 30 grams of protein powder. I'm using vegan protein powder just because it creates a bit of a thicker consistency. And that's going to be exactly what we're looking for the top of our cheesecake. This protein powder is from Protein Works, and you can use code SOPHIEREIDFIT to get yourself a discount if you want to try it out. I'm also going to add my creatine into this just so that I don't forget to take it later. But I take 5 grams of creatine every single day. It's just going everywhere. A little bit of cinnamon. And then you're going to mix this really well. It might take a minute. With the vegan protein powder, it will seem quite dry initially, but just keep mixing, like trust the process. And then after you've mixed it for a minute or so, if it's still not coming together, then you can add in more yogurt. When it's fully mixed, it should be like a cookie dough consistency, and you should be able to scoop it up in one big block like that. It's thick. Now we add this to the base. You're gonna press that down. It should fit in there really nicely. Bet you weren't expecting that. To finish this off, we're gonna go for some fast digesting carbs in the form of fruit. I like to include 2 different carb sources in my pre-workout meal. A carb source that comes from glucose, so things like the Weetabix or cereal, oats, bread, that kind of thing. And then a carb source which is a form of fructose, so fruit. The reason I do that is because fructose and glucose are absorbed into the body at different rates because they use different transporters. So it's going to give you a more sustained energy release throughout your workout. And there we have it. If you don't have Weetabix, then you can use blended oats. It works just as well. But I've been obsessed with this recently. Cheers. Remember, your nutrition does not have to be complicated, it just has to fuel you well and you have to enjoy it. I've never done this with my coaching before, but for Black Friday week only, I am offering 6 months of coaching for the price of 4. So when you sign up for 6 months, you get 2 months of coaching completely for free, and that includes tailored workout plans, one-to-one support from me, accountability and weekly check-ins to make sure that you're staying on track, and a completely tailored meal plan with simple recipes like this that you're actually going to enjoy. Every single one of my clients' plans are completely different and tailored to them, their lifestyle, how busy they are, so we can fit in your workouts around your schedule and you can actually stick to it because it's going to be sustainable for you, not someone else. For you. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then I'll put the link to apply for coaching in the description. Right, I'm gonna finish this, then we're gonna head to the gym and hit a solid leg session. Now, before you even touch a weight in this gym, you are gonna do a dynamic warm-up. You wouldn't go from 0 to 100 miles an hour when you first start your car, so why are we doing that in the gym? You don't need to spend ages on your warm-ups. I usually do 5 minutes of light cardio followed by some dynamic stretches to 1, get my heart rate up, and 2, help mobilize my joints more so that I'm feeling good and I've got a better range of motion for my lifts. If you're not sure which dynamic stretches to do, then I've actually made a full follow along video for that, so I'll link that warm up above. First exercise in our leg day is seated hip abduction. Now this machine is pretty self-explanatory, but for each set you're gonna aim for 12 to 15 reps. That's pretty typical. However, what I want you to do is lean forwards for the first however many reps you can get until failure. Then you're gonna drop the weight, lean back, and keep going until you reach a 15 rep total. Both forms are mainly focusing on the gluteus medius and minimus, which will help create more of that upper shelf of the glutes. But when you're leaning forwards, it engages more of the glute muscles, so it feels a bit easier. You'll be able to go heavier, and that's why when you're leaning back, then you'll probably have to drop the weight. When you're a beginner in the gym, I typically recommend doing your heavy compound lifts first. So those are exercises that use multiple muscle groups. However, as you get more advanced, we can start including more techniques such as using isolation exercises closer to the start of your workout to either pre-fatigue those muscles that you're trying to work or help us warm up even more to make our heavy compound lifts feel a bit better. So that's why our next exercise is seated hamstring curl. When you're setting up, make sure that your knees are in line with the pivot of the machine, and when you lean forwards and sort of hug the hug the handles, I guess. That is going to place a bigger stretch on your hamstrings, and it's going to allow you to get more out of the movement. Okay, this workout's about to get brutal because we are doing hack squat. Now, I actually am doing this in the wrong order, so I already did the next exercise before this one, so by now my strength was completely gone. I'm showing you this exercise first so that you actually do it in the right order. For our heavier compound lifts, I always start with a warm-up set with either no weight or a small amount of weight on the bar, and then we go into our working sets. You want to stand with your feet about shoulder width apart, your toes slightly pointed outwards. Breathe in and brace your core on the way down. Then when you're at the bottom, you want to exhale and push, like really drive through your feet on the way up. For this exercise and the next one, we want to be paying special attention to our range of motion. So I want you to go at least to parallel, if not lower. And as always, we're controlling the eccentric lowering phase and then power on the way up. Lucky for us, the next machine we're using was right next to the hack squat, and that is leg press. Now, as I said, I already did this before I did hack squat, so this really burnt out my legs. But for the leg press, there's a bit less core involvement than the hack squat, so it's not going to take as much of a toll on your central nervous system. To shift the emphasis onto the glutes more, you want a higher and wider foot placement, and then to shift it onto the quads more, you're going to go for a closer and lower down stance. The same goes for leg press and hack squat, but different people will find different stances more comfortable for them. But for me, especially when I'm looking to target the glutes more, I like a higher foot placement, and then I don't go too wide because sometimes I start to feel my abductors kicking in a bit, but that might just be me. Now, one thing that's really important for you to remember, whatever workout you're doing, is that your workout is only as hard as you make it. So if you're not pushing yourself, then of course it's not going to be difficult. But if we want to see the most growth possible and the most progress possible from your workouts, you need to be pushing yourself close to failure. It doesn't have to be completely to failure, but ideally we want to be 2 to 3 reps shy. I know it can sometimes be easy to fall into the trap of treating our workouts like a tick box exercise, so you're just doing one exercise after the other and not really thinking about it, you're just trying to get it done. But I really challenge you this week to slow it down with how you think about your workouts and actually push yourself hard, because that's what's going to make your workouts actually worth your time. Next up, we have one of my current favorite exercises, which is barbell reverse lunges. Now, if you're a beginner, then do not worry because you can switch this to reverse dumbbell lunges. You can also use a Smith machine for these, but you want the bar to sit across your upper back with your hands just outside shoulder width apart. Breathe in, brace your core, and take one step back into position, and then you're going to go into your reverse lunge. We're aiming to target the glutes with this one, so you want to take quite a big step backwards. The closer your stance, the more quad dominant it's going to be. And it also takes quite a bit of balance, so if you're new to this exercise, I would recommend trying it first without any weight on the bar, or just switching to dumbbells first of all, and you can always work your way up. When it comes to your reps, I like to do all of my reps on one side, rest for like 30 seconds, then do all of the reps on the other side. But some people do prefer to do it alternating, so you go lunge left, lunge right, lunge left, lunge right, and then complete your reps that way. It's really up to you, but I do prefer doing one side at a time. It just allows me to focus on that one side that bit more. But yeah, it's really personal preference. Now we're going to burn out the quads with leg extension. My top tip for this one would be to set the seat back further than you think, because this position increases the stretch on your rectus femoris, because that crosses both the hip and the knee joints. So having your seat positioned further back is going to allow the muscle to contract more fully through a greater range of motion. It also helps isolate the quads a little bit more by reducing hip flexor involvement, so it can help you target the quads a bit more effectively. You want a slight pause at the top of each rep and really control the lowering phase too. This is your finisher, so I want you to go all out on that last set, and you should be feeling a little bit wobbly as you walk out the gym. What day is it? Upper body day. When you're structuring your workouts, you want to leave around 48 hours before training the same muscle group again. So that means that we can train upper body the day after leg day, no problem. But if we're training full body straight after, then we'd start to run into some recovery issues. So just thought you should know that, because you're here to be educated on this channel, not just entertained. I'll also preface this workout by saying if you watched any of my previous vlogs for the last couple of weeks, you'll know that I injured my shoulder and bicep a couple months ago now, so I've not been able to train upper body for a month, and I literally just got back into training it a few weeks ago, so I'm not able to lift as heavy as I would like to, and I'm just having to be really careful around my shoulder. But other than that, we're getting back into it. So first, we're starting with dumbbell lateral raises. We're doing these standing, so the most important thing to remember is not to use momentum. You want to control those weights. You want to control those weights as much as you can, so that we're keeping the tension on our side delts. The range of motion can be quite important to get the most out of this one, so you don't want to be stopping at the bottom where the tension is off of your shoulders. You want to keep that constant tension, and then on the way up you can go as high as 90 degrees, or some people can go higher than that, but currently with my shoulder I cannot. For all of the exercises in this workout, we're training within 2 to 3 reps shy of failure or going to complete failure. I like to push it hard so we've got that intensity there, so we can actually see progress with the work we're putting in. And lateral raises are definitely one of my favorites for the side delts. Next up, we have seated dumbbell shoulder press. So you're going to grab yourself a bench and set it up not quite to its highest setting, but just a little bit below that. I find that much more comfortable in my shoulders, and it just feels like a lot more of a natural movement pattern that way. You're going to kick the dumbbells up into position. Even if you're using light dumbbells, I would recommend just starting to practice kicking them up so that you're ready for when you start lifting heavier weights and you can actually get them up easily. My top tip for seated shoulder press is not just treating it like you're pushing with your arms. You want to involve your whole body, so you want to push through your feet to allow you to lift heavier and brace your core to keep yourself stable. Your wrists should be stacked above your elbows, and when you're lowering the weights, you really don't need to go below parallel, because at that point you're going to be shifting the tension off your shoulders. We're starting off with our heaviest weight for 8 to 10 reps, and then you're going to rest for 90 seconds, drop the weight, and in the next set aim for 12 to 15 reps. Now, we all know how much I love training back, so I couldn't leave this workout without a lat pull down. So here we are. We're going to be going for a fairly wide grip lat pull down today, but I want to quickly go through the variations just in case you don't know. First of all, for the medium / shoulder width grip that we're using today, that's mainly going to target the mid portion of our lats, our teres major, and a bit of our rhomboids. This variation has a pretty balanced activation between width and thickness of our back. And my top 2 form cues for this one is pull the bar to your upper chest and focus on driving your elbows down and in, like you're trying to get them in your back pockets. Then we've got the wide grip lat pull down. With the wider grip, that's going to emphasize the width of our lats and help us create more of that V taper look. There's less bicep involvement in this one and a little bit more isolation on the outer lats. Then we've got our close underhand grip. So this is going to target some of the lower lats closer to your waist, your biceps because of the supinated grip, and also some of your rhomboids and mid back. The underhand grip is going to help you build a bit more thickness and depth through the mid and lower lats, and you can also pull through a greater range of motion. I like to sprinkle these different variations into my routine every so often just to keep things interesting and to challenge the muscles in a bit of a different way. Next, you might have used this machine before, but you probably haven't used it in the way I'm about to show you. But trust me, this is going to be a game changer for your rear delts. If you didn't know, your rear delts are a tiny little muscle in the back of your shoulder that can really help bring shape to your overall shoulder. And lots of people forget to train them, so that's why we're not skipping them. So we're going to be training one arm at a time. And instead of sitting with your chest against the pad, which is what you usually see people do when doing rear delt flies, we're going to sit sideways on the machine. This is going to allow you to get a much bigger range of motion and also add in that stretch to your rear delt, which you don't usually get when you do them with the usual form. If you don't have the same machine, you can also set up this exercise using a cable machine, and you want to make sure that the cable is set to just about shoulder height. Moving on, we've got one of my favorite arm supersets for the biceps and triceps. The biceps and triceps are what we call antagonistic muscle groups, and all that means is that they're on opposite sides of your body, or opposite sides of your arm in this case. So we're starting off with overhead tricep extension. I like to use an easy bar for this. I just find it's better on my wrist than if I use a rope or a straight bar. And the mistake most people make with this is setting up the cable too too low. So you want to set it about hip height because that's going to make it a lot easier for you to get the bar into position, and you're not going to waste as much energy trying to get it up either. As soon as you finish one set of overhead tricep extensions, you're going to go straight into cable bicep curls. So we're setting the cable to the very bottom of the machine, and we're going to turn our back to the cable machine itself. The resistance profile of cable curls is more ideal when you're facing away from the machine because it emphasizes the lengthened portion of the movement more. After you finish your cable curls, you're going to rest for 90 seconds, then repeat the superset 2 more times. To bring things full circle, we're going to finish off by burning out our shoulders, doing behind the back cable lateral raises. I used to not be the biggest fan of these, but then I made a few tweaks to my form that made it feel so much better and also helped me get a lot more out of it. So first of all, you're going to lower the weight. You need to leave your ego at the door for this one because lateral raises, as we already know from our first exercise, but cable lateral raises in particular are even more humbling. Here's how to make sure you're doing it in the best way possible to maximize the side delt gains. Take a step forward, then raise the cable in the scapular plane, but slightly in front of you as opposed to directly out to the side. Then allow your side delts to get an even bigger stretch by letting your arm cross over your body from behind at the bottom. You're going to feel a lot more of a stretch in this exercise than if you have the cable in front of you. And although stretch isn't everything when it comes to gains, including both variations in your routine can make a big difference. So here's the full upper body workout with all the sets and reps included. And I just noticed I wrote tricep push down instead of overhead tricep extension, but you can really take your pick. And that is upper body day complete. Okay, so first things first, we do not skip our warm-ups because we do not want to get injured. So we're going to start with 5 minutes of light cardio, and then we're just going to do some dynamic stretches. Girl, this is your reminder to always bring spare hair ties to the gym because mine broke literally as soon as I got there, and I was so scared that I didn't have another one, but I did, so all good. It didn't match, but it served its purpose. Okay, first up, we have Smith machine hip thrusts. I've really been loving these recently because it's got a slightly different movement pattern to a traditional barbell hip thrust, and it's such less of a faff to set it up. I couldn't think of a better way to describe how far away you want to set up the bench from the machine, but it's roughly the distance of having one foot in front of the other. So the heel of one foot is touching the bench and the toe of the other foot is directly under the bar. And then when you're going to do the hip thrust, the edge of the bench should be just under your shoulder blades. But I would recommend starting with a warm-up set just to make sure that everything's in the right position and also to help you get that mind to muscle connection with the glutes before we go heavy. I like using a step with this setup to help me get a little bit of an extra range of motion, but if you don't have it, then that's fine, you can do it without as well. But at the top of the movement, your knees should create a 90-degree angle, so you want to make sure that the step is directly below your feet at that point. Have your feet shoulder width apart with your toes slightly pointed outwards. You want to keep your chin tucked throughout the movement. Drive through your heels and squeeze your glutes hard at the top. You also want to make sure that you're not overextending your lower back at the top, and basically think about your spine being in a straight line when you get there. We're thinking control on the way down and power on the way up. And don't be afraid to go heavy with these. Since it's the Smith machine, you will likely have to put some force on the bar by rotating it towards you or away from you depending on your machine, because otherwise it's going to latch back into the hooks. I thought it was a bit annoying at the start, but you get used to it over time, so I think it's really just more of a matter of practice. I usually rest around 2 minutes between these sets because if you're pushing hard enough, trust me, you are gonna need it. We're structuring this full body workout by doing our main compound lower body exercises first, where we've got the most energy, and then we'll go into some compound upper exercises, and then we'll finish off with some isolations. That's gonna make the most of the energy you've got available and make it safer too, because we're doing our heaviest and most risky, I guess, compound exercises first. Next up, we've got barbell Romanian deadlifts. I always start with just a warm up with the bar, 8 reps or so, just to make sure I've got the form down. So we want a soft bend in our knees, and the bar should be close to our legs the whole time. On the way down, we're pushing our hips back. We're bending our knees slightly as we go down with the aim of feeling a stretch in the glutes and hamstrings. You want to retract your shoulder blades, keep your back flat and your neck neutral. Stop lowering the bar when you feel a deep stretch in your hamstrings, and this is usually around mid-shin for most people. On the way up, you want to drive your hips forward, squeeze your glutes to the top, but don't hyperextend. I guess it's kind of like a vertical hip thrust, but a good cue that one of my friends told me was, imagine you just got out of your car and you dropped your keys, then you're trying to shut the car door with your butt at the same time. But if you're still not comfortable with the movement, I'd recommend trying it without the weights and just practice against the wall, so pushing your hips back until your butt touches the wall, and that's how you know you're in the right position. Now, one problem a lot of people struggle with when they're going heavy for Romanian deadlifts is their grip strength. So there's a few things you can do. First, try a mixed grip where one hand's over the bar, the other hand's under the bar. Then you can try using chalk, where you can do a combination of those two. But thirdly, and my preference, is lifting straps. Here's a quick demo on how to use them. Once you've looped them around the bar, you want to twist them towards you to secure them in place. That's going to take your grip strength more out of the equation, so you'll be able to get more reps with heavier weight, meaning most likely more gains. I'll put the Amazon link to all the equipment I use in the description. Next, we're moving on to push press. Now, push press is a compound exercise like the two that we just did, but it's got more upper body involvement. So we're kind of transitioning over into the second phase of our workout. Start with the bar at shoulder level, your elbows slightly in front of the bar. Dip your knees slightly, kind of like a quarter squat, and keep your torso upright. We're driving through our legs and pressing the bar overhead with some explosiveness behind it. Once you get to the top, we want a slight pause, and then you're controlling the bar back down to your upper chest. Make sure you keep your core tight the whole time and you're not overarching your back. And the aim with this one is to get it into more of a fluid movement, so each rep kind of leads into the next. It may take a few tries, and feel free to start with the super lightweight to begin with and then work it up before your working sets. But once you've got the form down, you'll find that you'll be able to press more than you can with just a strict shoulder press or a strict barbell press, because you've got that momentum with the leg drive. Now we're into the upper body exercises. Okay, we're starting off with cable row. For this one, we're focusing in on our back and our lats, and the main cues are to sit up tall with your chest up and your shoulders back. You're pulling the handles towards your lower ribs and keeping your elbows as close to your body as you can. Squeeze your shoulder blades together at the back and control the way forwards. I actually find it helpful to think about moving forwards with the handles, because that can help you get a bit more stretch on the lats. And then when you come back, avoid leaning back too much. You want to drive your elbows back, but your upper body shouldn't be leaning back too far. And when you really slow it down, you'll be able to feel the movement coming from your back, arms and shoulders, not momentum. You know what time it is? It's superset time! I tried out this superset the other week and I quite liked it, so I thought I'd throw it in this workout. If you've not tried doing a superset before, all it is you do one exercise, and without rest you go straight into the next exercise and then you rest. So today we're doing a bicep and chest superset, starting off with incline curl. Incline hammer curls to be precise. Set up the bench around 30 to 45 degrees, grab a pair of dumbbells, sit yourself down, and we're ready to go. Keep your shoulders back and your chest open and curl the dumbbells up with your palms facing inward. So this is a neutral grip. Think about keeping your elbows pinned in space, and as always we want that nice slow controlled eccentric on the way down. This setup's actually pretty good for limiting momentum, which is definitely a win, but to help you get that mind muscle connection, really slow it down and think about your biceps working. Like, visualize that squeeze at the top. As part 2 of your superset, you're going straight into push-ups. Yeah, I know, don't come for me. But also don't worry if you can't do a push-up yet, because I've got a lot of adaptations, so over time, you will be able to get your push-up. I've got you. Okay, key push-up principles, whatever level you're at. Hands directly under your shoulders and slightly outside shoulder width. You want to engage your core and glutes to stop your hips from sagging. And the aim is to get our chest as close to the floor as possible. We're keeping our elbows tucked and pushing through the palms of our hands, squeezing our chest and triceps at the top. Level 1, you're going to grab yourself a bench, and we're doing incline kneeling push-ups. As a general rule of thumb, the higher the incline, the easier it's going to be, and when you can get 6 to 8 reps, you're going to progress to regular incline push-ups. After that, we're getting rid of the bench and progressing to knee push-ups. Then you can also practice slow negatives, and finally you progress onto a full push-up. Now it takes time to work through these progressions, don't expect it to happen in a week, but push-ups are one of those exercises that really combine strength with technique. So once you get good at the technique, then you'll be able to build up the numbers fairly quickly. You're going to be feeling this ab finisher tomorrow, just being honest. So this is another superset, but we're doing 2 different ab exercises back to back. So we're starting with decline leg lowers. To make this easier, you can do leg lowers on the floor or decline reverse crunches like I'm doing here. The main thing you want to keep in mind for this one is making sure you're not rushing through the movement. So at the top of the movement, focus on squeezing your abs and then slowly lowering back down. This one's going to shift some of the focus onto our lower abs, and then we're going into knee tucks. Again, you can do this without the weight, but doing it with the weight, this is mainly focusing on our rectus abdominis. We're keeping it nice and slow and controlled, breathing out at the top and in on the way down. Then you're going to repeat that 2 more times and we're done. So here's the full workout. You can go ahead and screenshot, or I've also made a full PDF of this entire plan for you guys, which I will link in the description. Guess who's back? It's Pixie, obviously. Okay, so now you've got your workout plan. I wanted to share my top 3 most underrated tips for busy people who are trying to stay consistent with their health and fitness, even though their schedule can be jam-packed. And I do have a lot more than just 3 tips, but I didn't want this video to be like 2 hours long. So if you do want me to do a full video on how to approach your fitness journey as a busy person, let me know and I can make it happen. First of all, the number 1 reason the busy people fall off track with their fitness routine isn't because they lack motivation, it's not because they lack discipline, and it's not because they don't genuinely care about their health. It's the all or nothing mindset. A lot of the time, busy people can have these perfectionist tendencies, even if we don't really realize it. And you can fall into the trap of thinking that if you don't have a full hour to get your workout done, then you just shouldn't do it at all because you're not going to be able to put in your 100% or get it done. But my first tip is going to help you start eliminating that all or nothing mindset, and it's called the 30% rule. So if you find yourself super short on time, instead of skipping your workout that day when life gets messy, commit to 30% of it. The place we're trying to get to is making working out and making the gym a habit for you. So right now you're in this intermediate stage where it's not quite a habit, but you're trying to build that habit. So showing up to the gym every time you plan to go, even if you don't have enough time to get the whole workout in, is going to be so beneficial for you because you're going to be keeping that habit. You're going to be training your brain that at this time on this day is when I go to the gym. And a short workout still counts. You're still building momentum, and that is going to keep you progressing. Tip number 2, when you're finding it hard to drag yourself to the gym, we want to think about this thing called a habit anchor. Once that anchor exists, it becomes automatic, so consistency goes up without you having to put in much extra effort. So tip number 2 is anchor your workouts to an existing habit. Don't rely on motivation to get you to the gym, because I have been there as well. When you get out of work, you're so tired, the last thing you want to do is go and work out, even though you know that you're going to feel better for it afterwards. You want to attach the habit of working out to something you already do. So say as soon as you open the doors to leave work, that is when you know you're going straight to the gym. Or if you're a morning workout person, you could always go after your morning coffee, or right after dropping the kids off at school. This works because your brain loves routines, and when you're connecting the new habit you're trying to build with one that you already do, your brain finds it a lot easier to connect the two and make it into more of a routine that flows. Tip number 3 is the protein convenience kit. Let's be real, most busy people actually struggle more with nutrition, not necessarily the training. And if I'm going to be totally honest with you, your nutrition is going to make up around 70% of the results that you get on your fitness journey. So it is essential and you cannot be skipping it. So what you want to do to give yourself a little boost with your nutrition is keep fast and no-cook protein sources just on hand. So things like Greek yogurt, pre-cooked chicken, protein bars, cottage cheese, even things like beef jerky or tuna sachets or things like that. Having grab and go protein sources makes it so much easier for you to hit your daily goals without necessarily having to plan or cook everything at once. Not to mention, it's also going to help you feel fuller for longer and recover better from your workouts. So make sure you're including a source of protein in each of your meals. I personally like to base my meals around the protein source. I find that very helpful. And this is an especially smart move if you're not someone who likes to track your calories or have a meal plan or things like that either. So those were definitely some of my best tips to help busy people stay on track, but it was so hard to boil it down to just 3. So let me know if you want me to do a full video on that, and I can go into a lot more underrated tips. But I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, subscribe. We're on the road to 100k. We're getting so close. Right now, as I'm filming this, we are just under 90k, which is insane. And I know I say this a lot, but I appreciate each and every one of you guys way more than you know. Where are you going? Oh, you're sleepy. I'm so scared she's gonna bite my foot. Leave my foot, Pixie. Well, that was a sudden turn of events. But if you'd like some more nutrition tips that aren't obvious and nutrition mistakes that you might be making, then check out this video next, and I'll see you over there. Love you so much. Bye!